Greetings to the Rotary eClub of Southwest USA. I'm District Governor David Simmer for District 5495, and I'm pleased to share this message with you today as part of my official visit. I wanted to talk to you today about the new Rotary Vision Statement, 24 words that draws together our 35,000 Rotary clubs and 1.2 million Rotarians from around the world. The vision statement goes like this: together, we see a world in which people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. I'd like to unpack that a little bit for you and talk to you about what it means to me. First, the word together. Together suggests to me collaboration, friendship, and membership. It also suggests to me our three organizations, the three arms of Rotary International: Interactors, Rotaractors, and Rotarians. To each organization, an individual brings time, talent, and treasure. For each of us, in each of the cohorts represented by Interact, Rotaract, and Rotarians, we have a different mix and blend of those three, the time, talent, and treasure. For interactors, they may be somewhat strapped on time. They certainly have very little in the way when it comes to treasure. But talents, interestingly enough, what they have is an undying optimism, an enthusiasm, an energy that they bring that is really undeniable as a tremendous talent. They also are digital natives. They've never known our world, as many Rotarians have, outside of that digital capacity. When you go to Rotaractors, well, they might have a little bit more when it comes to treasure. They still are strapped somewhat for time, but their talents are really developing. Many are early on in their careers or are engaged in education, and so they're learning so much about how to work with other people. Their time, talent, and treasure mixture is certainly very valuable when we look at conducting projects and completing projects. For Rotarians, we might have a little bit more control of our time at this point in our lives. We certainly have more in the way of treasure that we can help fund projects and support the Rotary Foundation. With regard to our talents are very different than the Interactors and the Rotaract cohorts. We don't have perhaps the same amount of digital capacity that they have. The world is changing so quickly, and they're in the midst of the change, and they have grown up understanding all of the logic of the digital world. So together, when we think of the three organizations together, bringing our respective time, talent, and treasure, we're a powerful organization, all working for the same common cause of making other people's lives better, making lasting change. Together, we see a world where people unite. Where people unite. Now, when I look at this and hear this phrase, I think of the things that are not said here. It doesn't say where just Rotarians unite. It doesn't say where Americans unite, or just white people or black people. It doesn't say anything about religion. It doesn't say anything about your nationality or your political views. It merely says where people unite. And I think that's where we need to focus, is that we unite with other people, people who share our passion for a particular cause that is dear to Rotarians. That might be clean water, so that we could work with other organizations that are passionate about clean water and bringing clean water to people around the world. But people unite. That's the main thing that we need to keep in focus, that we're willing to work with other people of all ilk, of all nationalities, of all religions, of all political persuasions. We don't care about that. What we do care about is their willingness to help us make a difference in other people's lives. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action. And take action. There won't be a press release on this, but what I believe is happening is that we are slowly changing to our new motto of people of action. When you look at our landing page on Rotary.org, you'll find people of action. You won't find service above self. Now, why are we doing that? Well, service above self began to mean to Rotarians and to Rotary clubs that we sneak in under the dead of night, we get our good work done, and that we get out before anybody notices. And we've been very successful. No one has noticed. And I think when Rotary really looked at that and looked at what young people are looking for, they're looking for organizations where they can be involved and can be active. And so we are going to become people of action. When I think about service above self, I think of the Shakers. It's a religious sect that did not believe in reproductive intercourse. Well, as you can imagine, that's no way to grow a religion. And service above self, the way that we were looking at it, slipping in and slipping out before anybody noticed, is no way to grow our organization. Instead, we need to be known as people of action. And we need to think of that with regard to being out and bold, with regard to showing our Rotary gear, our Rotary logo, so that people know that we are Rotarians and see us in action in our communities. This might be a little bit more unusual when it comes to an eClub, but it does mean that in your individual communities, you need to be out and active, wearing your Rotary gear so that people know what you stand for making a difference in your community and in the world. When we look for pictures on our website, we should look for pictures showing us actually in action. If you look at the Rotary.org website, you will see that's exactly what they're doing. They're showing Rotarians in action. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change. To create lasting change. You know the old Chinese proverb, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. That could have been written by Paul Harris. That is what we're about. Lasting change. You see it in the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation has a standard called sustainability. And what that means is that once Rotarians go back home and start another project, once the money from the Rotary Foundation has been completely spent, that the project will continue and the benefit to the primary beneficiaries will continue as well. We want to create lasting change. And as we get involved in projects, we should always keep that in mind. Will this benefit be sustainable? Will it be lasting change for the beneficiaries? Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe. Across the globe. When I hear this phrase, I think of our work in polio. It was in the early 1980s when Rotary announced that it was going to work to eradicate polio. And the World Health Organization joined us, and the CDC joined us. Governments around the world joined us to help eradicate polio. And eventually, the Gates Foundation, a very critical player with regard to the funds necessary to complete this job, joined us as well in the effort to eradicate polio. But keep in mind that when we announced that we were going to work as a non-governmental organization and marshal the resources and the manpower that we had, at that time in the early 1980s, there were 350,000 new cases each year around the world. Nearly 1,000 new cases a day in over 125 countries. And yet Rotary was audacious enough to say that we are going to lead the effort to eradicate polio, only the second disease ever to have been eradicated from the planet. We still have a lot of work to do. You probably know that we've had a setback with regard to our eradication efforts. The number of cases are up, in Pakistan in particular. Some parents don't believe in immunizations, and that means that their children are not only not being immunized for measles, they're not being immunized for polio. So we have a vulnerable population as well. Together, we see a world in which people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities. In our communities. Well, this has a unique kind of meaning when it comes to an eClub, particularly one like the eClub of the Southwest that has Rotarians on 5 different continents, all across the United States and in other countries as well, with different languages as their primary language. But it does still suggest to us that as Rotarians, we need to be working in our communities. So I encourage you to be active in your community, join with other organizations, and wear your Rotary shirts, your Rotary hats. If you have Rotary pants and socks, wear those too. But show what Rotary stands for in your community. That's how we draw people to us. Whether they join a local Terra club or whether they join the Rotary Club of the Southwest, we grow Rotary by growing all of our clubs, eClubs, Terra clubs, whatever clubs we might have. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And in ourselves. These are the three words that were most surprising to me when I first read the Rotary Vision Statement. You know, I grew up, as many of you did, in the time of service above self. We joined Rotary not expecting anything in return. But our most recent Rotary International directors made very clear to us that we need to look at our Rotary members as if they are our customers. And we need to consider the equation. What are they getting in exchange for their time, talent, and treasure? What is it they're looking for? More information? Inspiration? Recognition? What might it be that they expect in return for their involvement in Rotary and that time, talent, and treasure that they give to our organization? We need to be intentional to make sure that Rotarians receive a fair bargain and something in exchange for their membership. I didn't expect when I joined Rotary that I was going to get much out of it. I didn't really join it for friendship. I joined it for community impact. But I didn't realize how much that impact would impact me. That phrase, you get out of it what you put into it, has certainly been true in my Rotary experience. It has absolutely been the greatest experience of my life. I do have one last request. I am emphasizing various areas in Rotary, and I wanted to tell you about that. There are two things, and you'll find more information on this on the Rotary 5495 website, or you can contact me. The first is our emphasis on the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation is the fuel for us to allow us to do work around the world, as well as work in our own district, in our own communities, through district grants. So we are emphasizing it in two ways. Number one, we're emphasizing it at the club level by having a competition, if you will, for those clubs that distinguish themselves in the use of Rotary Direct. You're probably familiar that Rotary Direct is the program that is an automatic contribution program to the Rotary Foundation, developing a direct and automatic relationship to help the Rotary Foundation over time. I encourage you to look into that program and that contest, because we are giving $2,000 grants with no requirement for match to the two clubs that distinguish themselves with regard to either the number of Rotarians who participate in Rotary Direct or the percentage of their membership that participates in Rotary Direct. The highest two in each of those two categories is going to be receiving a $2,000 grant for any project that they would like to put the money toward. And then we're going to have two clubs that are going to be wild cards chosen at our district conference, and I know that you always have a great turnout for the district conference, but there are going to be two clubs in those two categories, the percentage category and the sheer number of Rotarians, who will be drawn from a hat if they are in the top half of the category, and drawn from a hat and be given each a $2,000 grant as well. The other part of our Rotary Foundation emphasis is that with a one-on-one to those who are passionate about the Rotary Foundation. We are going to have a rewards dinner, a recognition dinner right before the district conference on Thursday, June 25th, 2020, to recognize those who make a major contribution during this year to the Rotary Foundation, and we're defining that as a $10,000 in an outright gift or in a bequest. And again, there are some additional details, and those will be available on the Rotary 5495 website as well. Finally, we're emphasizing some programs that are right here in our backyard. Usually when we think of the Rotary Foundation, we think of giving money that crosses a border or crosses an ocean to help someone in another country. And certainly there are those programs. But right now we have one program, the Navajo Water Project, on the Navajo Reservation, where 70,000 people are living without running water in their homes and often without electricity as well. We've had 2 global grant projects, and we're in the process of drafting a 3rd project that is going to be centered around Dilcon, Arizona, to bring running water to over 300 homes. We are going to fund as much of that as we possibly can. The grant is being written. I'm encouraging the Rotary eClub of Southwest USA to consider this project and consider whether you would like to join other clubs in our districts and other clubs throughout the Southwest that are joining in to help bring clean running water to the residents of the Navajo Nation. And the final project that I'd like to call your attention is the microcredit program in Mexico. It's a project that provides a lending facility to individuals who want to run a home-based business. And for $200 to $600 loans, they can get an inventory, start a business, and drag their families out of poverty. And so we think that is a great program as well, and we hope that you'll explore that a little bit further and maybe even go to Mexico and meet some of the borrowers, as I did about 3 months ago. I mean, it's really an incredible, incredible experience. So with that, I want to thank you again for your time and attention and your consideration of the projects, and for being Rotarians, and for understanding the vision of Rotary and how we're going to change the world together. It is an honor to serve as your district governor for 5495 for the years 2019 and 20. Thank you.